Good evening and welcome to the board business meeting of March 27, 2025. We convened the business meeting earlier at 6:45. We had a short executive session and we are now reconvening after the executive session. The treasurer's report for January 2025 is available in the business office. Oh, I'm sorry, the pledge. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It takes a village.
Yes.
I'd like to open it up for public comment on any of the listed agenda items. Seeing nobody, I'd like to move to the consent agenda. Mr. Oliverio?
Okay. Resolved to approve the consent agenda items 2 through 10 as presented to the board at this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments?
The consent agenda tonight includes approval of the prior meeting minutes, CSE, CPSC placements, amending the 24-25 substitute listing, amending additional hours for one staff member and unpaid hours for another staff member, approving contracts and agreements. Tonight, they're all the health and welfare agreements, Bedford, Ossining, Tarrytown, and White Plains. We're appointing Catherine Schutz as the MYP coordinator for the next school year. We're accepting the following bids: water system operator, Lumar Plumbing and Heating; internal auditor services, Naraki and Smith; HVAC tech, Master Plumbers, Stony Point Heating and Cooling. And the board is accepting a donation in the amount of $100 from the PTA to be used as needed for students at the elementary school book fair this week.
There's no PTA person here, but does anybody know, do they also do that at the middle school book fair?
There is a
Give
book
my-
fair, but I don't know if there's a donation.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
I want to
Aye.
thank whoever
Wait,
who
I'm sorry.
donated.
Huh?
I want to thank who donated. That's great.
It is. It's very nice for the PTA to do that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hmm?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolutions pass. Reports. We're going to start with the student reports, but I have to say before Aiden starts that he spoke at the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony on Tuesday, and it was excellent. It was amazing. Both student reps did a great job, but it was nice that I knew one of them. So. Okay, Aiden.
Well, thank you for that. Yesterday in the high school, there were the CAS and TOK presentations in the library. It was very impressive to see what some of our students have accomplished. It's amazing stuff. Last Monday, spring sports season officially started. Some teams already had scrimmages. Our flag football team had a scrimmage yesterday, which I saw part of. Today, the senior class had the opportunity to register to vote during they were all called down. They had the opportunity to pre-register to vote if they weren't 18, but if they were, they registered. And the spring musical is just under a month away. And
Why your co-people are not here, why they're at practice.
Are you part of Theater Works yourself?
no, not this spring. I had to take some things off my plate.
I know you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
You have a lot on your plate.
I do.
But your two
Yeah.
compatriots are.
Yes, they're
It's going to be
acting.
great. I love Theater Works.
I've heard it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. How about chorus? You in chorus?
No, I'm in band.
Oh, that's sad. I was going to ask you to bug Dr. Masseri again. Look to the rainbow. We want that song performed this week.
What instrument do you play?
So it's make a request thing?
Clarinet.
There you
Yeah.
go.
My son's a trombone player. He loves it.
Yep.
Thank
You want to just explain CAS and TOK for the public who, like,
yeah.
we've gotten used to those things, but
Yeah,
it
so-
took me a couple of years to get it, so.
So CAS stands for. Oh boy.
Creativity, Action, Service.
Action. Yeah, creativity, action, and service. It's it's one of the requirements if you decide to do the IB diploma, and you have to do a service to your community and better the community in some sort of project. Some people have done things from food drives to donation drives to one student worked in a lab to develop a heart failure drug. And then TOK is Theory of Knowledge, and that's a class you also take for the IB diploma, and that is similar to a philosophy class, and you have to answer a philosophy question in a presentation as part of the class and to get that diploma.
Because they did it differently this year, they did it more at the way science research is done.
Yes.
Does that still count for their presentation, even though it was to a smaller audience, I would assume?
Yes.
Yes. I know students were allowed to go walk around. I walked and saw some of them. As Dr. Love said, yes, that counts as their presentation.
Okay. Thank you. Busy time. Dr. Left.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I did want to begin by providing some kudos to the Putnam Valley Science Research Team. As everyone knows, Coach Cat is new to the district the last couple of years, and we were thrilled to hear that Putnam Valley had the highest percentage of students win awards at the recent WESF competition. So congratulations to all of our students and faculty in the science research program for their hard work and the research on the future of society and your dedication to work shows a tenacity and responsibility to citizenship, which we all value here. Just to highlight some of the award winners. So McKinley Sherp won the T-Town Young Environmentalist Award. Lily Johnson won the Yale Science and Engineering Award. Jonathan Duraeus won the Excellence in Computer Science and Mathematics Award. Sorry. Felicia Rodriguez, Kate Nielsen, Izzy Quee, and Izzy Walther won 4th place in their categories in medical science, cell and molecular biology, computational biology. Niall Kelly won 3rd place in environmental science, and Christina Morganova won 2nd place in engineering. So a huge accomplishment. I know that we went through a transition period when we brought in a new teacher, but it's obvious that these students are continuing to excel, and our program is continuing to be a model for many in our region. We also have 10 students from Putnam Valley High School who have their artwork currently on display in the Garrison Art Museum, and those art displays will be up through the 30th, which is coming up, so get there and check it out. We talked a little bit about the CAS and TOK presentations. We did change the model in which students deliver the presentations. In the past, students would deliver the presentation typically during the lunch block. There would sort of be some in attendance. It was very sort of challenging to get an audience there for the period of time it took when everyone presented. So Mr. Mello and Mr. DiGregorio, along with the CAS and TOK advisors, had come up with a plan to try to not streamline the process, but to improve participation and engagement of the community in that. And they switched to a symposium-style presentation where every student had a poster, and then they stood and delivered their presentation or explained their poster to students. A couple of classes came up and rotated through. It was really, I thought, a very efficient way to get a ton of information out to a group of people, and definitely an increased engagement. My one recommendation is I would like to see a way to make that same experience available to parents, similar to what we do for science research. And I do believe that's in the cards for next year, is finding an opportunity to move that into the evening so that parents can also experience that same, to celebrate all of the work the students have put into their CAS and TOK presentations. I also know that Mr. Mello met with interested students from the class of 2025 to talk about the graduation ceremony. So I warned Aiden that I was going to put him on the spot because while I was not able to attend, he was. I believe there was about 20 students in attendance. They discussed possibilities, town park, baseball field, pros and cons, moving the date, keeping the date. So I heard it was a productive meeting, but I will turn it over to Aiden if there's any specifics or what your sort of general feeling was entering the meeting and then leaving the meeting.
I think it was a productive meeting. A lot of the ideas that were out in the community were passed on to the students. They gave their feedback. Some of the ideas the students accepted, others the students didn't really want, which I agree with them. Some of the there's some things that the parents were really pushing for that the students really don't want to do. Not a lot of new ideas came out of it. A lot of the same ideas were discussed and just got everybody's opinion on. Everybody who was there is now in some way or another gonna talk to their friends and try to get a scope of what the whole grade wants to do, and whether it's inside, outside, here or there. But there was some progress because some ideas for graduation the students had no desire really to do. Like, for example, I got the feel nobody really wanted to graduate at another school or at another place, or of having graduation earlier, nobody really wanted to do that either. So it took some things off the list, and there's still some things that need to be considered.
So I know in the conversation I had with Mr. Mello this afternoon, he sort of left it open-ended, right? There was 20 or so students in attendance, but he wanted others, if they were interested or had feedback, to continue to provide them the opportunity to come forward, or if anybody comes up with a new idea, that we were still receptive and waiting and willing to hear that. I think from a board perspective, it's less of an issue if we're not going to change the date, right? If we're going to commit to the date, and full disclosure, the district has received communications from families who have family members flying in, traveling in, hotels booked based upon that date. So changing the date could have an adverse impact on those individuals. So if we're committed to the date and want to work out the details, there's really no rush to do anything. The details will continue to be worked out for the entire spring. If there's a serious conversation about changing the date, that's going to have to happen sooner than later, because it impacts families, it impacts travel, it impacts our staff, our rentals, and anything else that we would need to do, our buildings and ground staff, to be able to prepare for it. So I know Aiden had alluded to the fact there didn't seem to be much interest in changing the date in the meeting they had today. Mr. Mello had shared the same, but if that's something that board still wants to consider, we should probably have that conversation, I would say, by the next meeting. If we're going to stick with the date and continue to discuss alternatives, then there's really no board action required for that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm still going. Many of us got the chance to attend the Middle School National Junior Honor Society induction. There was 34 new inductees. So it's always a great event, get together at the middle school and recognize those excellent students academically as well as service. Our elementary school, I know we spoke a little bit about this, but the parent event had taken place after our last board meeting, but many of us got to attend the dress rehearsal for the musical The Jungle Book at Putnam Valley Elementary School. It was amazing. I think maybe the best play I've seen them produce. Just the sheer number of students that are involved, the lead parts, singing. They were on stage essentially one scene the entire time. There was no breaks. It just kind of continued to go, and I thought it was an excellent performance, and I do want to recognize all of those involved. Before the meeting, the board had the opportunity to meet with Melody LaRocca, so she is coming up in a few minutes as an appointment for confidential secretary to the superintendent, as well as the district clerk. So, that's right. So this will begin the season of goodbyes for Maureen. I teased that the first interview question was, is your name Maureen Bellino? And if you answered no, you were out. But that didn't work, so we had to go through a full search. But again, we'll have the opportunity to hopefully recognize Melody in a few minutes, and I know that the goodbyes for Maureen will continue throughout the spring. So,
Don't look so sad.
she's allowed to be sad. I'm sad. We're also beginning interviews for the supervisor of special education. So that was the position currently held by Melissa Estrella, who will be moving into the director's role when Natalie retires. So another goodbyes coming this spring. And Melissa is leading the search to find the replacement for who will be her sort of right-hand person in the special education department. So those interviews are coming up as well. We had a capital projects meeting prior to this meeting. Unfortunately, not a huge attendance, but we were thankful for those who took time out of their busy day to attend. We got to answer questions, mostly about the budget and capital project questions, ensuring that accurate information is out in the community so that individuals can make an informed decision when it comes time to vote on May 20th. So just a public service reminder, on May 20th will be the vote for the budget, be the vote for the capital project, it'll be the vote for 2 board trustee seats, and as well it'll be a vote for the Putnam Valley Library is adding a proposition to our ballot as well. And that's all we have right now. We can get into a whole bunch of upcoming events, but we have a board meeting before all those start, so I'll defer to that.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start with presentations and the 2025-26 budget presentation.
Sorry, I'm going to go out of order. I do want to, because the other one happens before. On the April 10th meeting, and I'll mention this again later, the 4th grade elementary school science fair participants that'll be moving forward to the regional competition will have their science fair projects set up in the main hallway prior to the board meeting. That's before next meeting.
So like at 6:30?
6:30? They'll be here probably at 6 setting up. 6:30 starts the tour.
Okay.
So don't miss that. It's always a good
Yeah,
experience.
thank you.
I'm sorry, how many will there be? 13.
13 projects.
So the sooner you get there, closer to the time it starts, the better, so you can hear them all.
We'll push Liz to get them ready by like 6:15-ish.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Grace.
All right, so now we'll introduce Dr. Grace Chan, who's going to go over for the second time our 25-26 school budget. There is a couple of revisions and a couple of things I know that Dr. Chan wanted to highlight, so welcome.
Good evening, Board of Ed, Dr. Luff, Putnam Valley community. Thank you for joining us again. I'll try to make this a little different from last time, so I wore different glasses this time. The district's goal is to present a proposed budget to the Board of Ed that is balanced. What that means is that the expenses that we decide that we need for the 25-26 year has to equal the revenue that we believe is coming in. One of the first part of the formulas that I used to work on for the district is the fact that we have a tax cap. So I wanted to show you what the tax cap looks like. This is the formula set out by the state. And the district likes to simplify it so that the community can understand what this means. According to this chart, we start with the prior year's tax levy, and then we're given a tax base growth factor, which is specific to Putnam Valley. And that growth factor reflects the quantity change in taxable property values in the base year. The factor is based on actual physical changes to taxable property, such as new constructions of home and stores and offices, and not merely the change of the assessed value of the existing unchanged taxable property. After we multiply that out, we get $41,413,000, and to that we subtract prior year capital exclusions, which is a number of items that go into that line. For last year, it was $1,204,000. We come up with an adjusted prior year tax levy that's $40,208,000. To that, we will multiply the allowable levy growth factor, which is the lesser of the CPI, or 2%. This number is the number that you actually read in the newspaper when you hear about 2%. When we multiply that out, we have a tax levy limit before the exclusions for the current year, which comes out to $41,012,000. To that, we will add the current year capital exclusions, which again is a number of line items that come up, and net to the number of $2,195,000. That comes out to the maximum allowable tax levy limit, which is $43,208,000. That maximum percent change in tax levy is 4.54%. Historically, Putnam Valley does not go to the maximum allowable. This year, we're actually going a lot lower. We're going to a 2.99%, which would give us a proposed tax levy limit of $42,568,000. This chart will show you the cumulative change in the real property taxes between what we are allowed to tax, which is 4.54%, to what we're actually taxing, which is 2.99%. This is a cumulative change for the next few years. This is the loss of money that the district would have been able to tax the taxpayers. This chart will show you the tax comparisons between ourselves and 6 neighboring districts. As you can see, we're right in the middle. We're not the tallest, we're not the highest tax cap this year, and we're not the lowest. We will tax you what we actually feel that we need. This is another way of looking at some of the revenues that would come into the district. And we're comparing ourselves to 6 other districts. And I'm highlighting the fact that the difference between the last year's state aid and this year shows to be $411,368. But actually, it's not, because there's an amount in there of $410,400, which we are not allowed to use except for the full-day kindergarten conversion. Whether we use that or not, we subtract that out from the 411, and the difference between last year's state aid and this year is really only $968,000.
I just quickly, I wanted to highlight something on that slide, and its comparison to the slide before. So the slide before, we talk about the tax cap comparison for neighboring districts, and then you look at what districts are slated to receive regarding state aid changes. Putnam Valley is not the lowest in terms of what we're receiving, but when you look at the amount of aid some of these districts are receiving and compare that to why their tax levy is lower, that will start to connect a lot of dots. So Yorktown is receiving $2.7 million more in state aid. Lakeland, $3.6 million more in state aid. Mayapack, $1.6 million more in state aid. Putnam Valley, $968. So there's a reason why we're being as fiscally responsible as possible, but we're not able to offer a 1% or a point-something% increase because state aid is simply not making up the difference for us, whereas in other cases, it is helping districts make up the difference. So I just wanted to point out the correlation between this slide and the previous one.
Thank you. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out, that this state aid estimate is based on the executive budget. The legislative budget doesn't come out until April 1st, and sometimes even after that.
Grace, one thing real quick. Just to clarify, it's full-day pre-kindergarten, not full-day
Yes,
kindergarten.
sorry,
So,
yes.
no, I just want to, that question came up, so I just wanted to clarify.
Yes,
So,
we'll fix that. Thank you. This is a chart that will show you the state aid breakdown between ourselves and the 6 neighboring districts. Sometimes people like to see this comparison in a picture, and sometimes they like to see it in a graph. The reason I put this chart in here is to show you the portion of that tax cap formula that is the allowable growth, which is the middle column, is never higher than 2%. But when you look at the CPI, for example, in the year 2023 to 2024, the CPI was 8%. The current CPI as of March 23rd is 2.8%. It's still higher than the limit that we're allowed in the middle column, which is part of that formula to figure out the tax cap.
Dr. Chen, though, let's compare apples to apples. The core CPI came in at 3%, closer to 3.1%. And that's what we should really judge it at, because the regular CPI includes volatile fuel costs and also the food costs, which, you know, they impact us, but the core is truly on the money, and that's the one the Federal Reserve seems to follow more than anybody else. So in my mind, we're still under inflation with the 2.99 as the core is at 3.1.
Thank you for that. It's true, CPI is very confusing. It depends on what they're putting into that CPI when they make that comparison.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is a picture graph which shows the tax cap inflation factor versus the total tax levy. Again, sometimes people like to see this in a different format. The next 3 slides will show you the enrollment One is for the elementary school, and the next one is for the middle school, and the last one is for the high school. These include the Garrison students that are sitting in the seats now. So I guess this might be a good time to just mention that this slide is different than the last time because we actually lost 4 Garrison students, which amounts to about $70,000 in revenue. So the district has had to change the revenue stream that's coming in order to keep the budget balanced. Here's the first picture of the revenue source, and the Garrison number is on the bottom. It is now 420,113. It still represents 1% of all the revenues because we're rounding. When I subtract out the school taxes and the real property taxes and the state aid, then the Garrison piece of the local revenue is about 33%. And that's a decrease from my last time slide in March 13th, which was 37%. This slide is just showing you the numbers again in revenues as opposed to a chart. And this is the first place where I try to make people understand that if we remove the transfer to capital line, which is $1,209,000 from the budget to budget percentage is actually 2.58%. That transfer to capital line is inflating the budget to budget percent increase to look like it's 4.5%, 58%.
That's really, really important.
Yes.
That point you just, I mean, the 2.5% is the actual, in my mind,
Yes.
budget to budget increase. Because that capital fund, you know, the transfer, you're pulling that from the reserve, which is already there. So yeah, that's
Right.
the real
So
It's-
budget to budget.
That's the amount of money that we can use for the operating portion of the budget. The $1,209,000 is transferred to capital. When the budget has passed, hopefully it will pass, then we actually do a direct transfer out of that, and it's no longer in the operating budget. So what remains is only 2.5%, 58% increase from the last year's budget.
Exactly. So
Thank you.
that would be the amount that I would stress, the 2.58%, really.
So this came up in the meeting we had prior to the board meeting, the community question Q&A session. And it's important to emphasize why we break this out, and I think you guys both touched on this point. The district, that's within our allowable tax levy, so we could have taken that $1 million+ and put it into our operating expenses and used it for staffing and programs, or we could have taken it out of the budget entirely. But the reality is the work still needs to get done. What we're attempting to do here, just like we did with the high school roof a few years ago, is we're attempting to meet the community sort of halfway and accomplish whatever capital improvements we can within our existing operating budget. So we're not asking the community for additional money, and we're not borrowing money to complete this work, which many in the community have emphasized the district to not do. To pay for stuff up front and not borrow money. And this is just sort of a case in point of one of the many ways we are trying to be fiscally responsible. We're completing work. We could have easily taken this $2+ million of work and added it to the capital project. We could have paid interest rates on it for 15 years. We could have used this money in our operating budget for something else, but we didn't, because we think this is the most fiscally prudent way to accomplish work and minimize the amount of money we have to borrow, minimize the amount of money that the community has to approve while still completing necessary infrastructure work. So we could have not done it, and if we had not done it, it would have been 2.58%, but the work still needed to get done, and it would have gotten done in another way, probably a less fiscally responsible manner, which would have incurred interest and required another vote and increased the cost of the outstanding capital project. So just wanted to try to emphasize that for the community.
When the community votes on our budget, this is a line item, transfer to capital, and that allows us to spend the money on what we're using it for in this budget. It's important to understand that that line also gets state aid. This is a slide which I'm using 6 neighboring districts again, and everyone has to fill out a transparency report. I use the cost per student based on the transparency report. That's the green bar on top. The orange bar shows the enrollment. The transparency report excludes transportation, charter school tuition, other tuition, debt service, and other. There's a lot of ways to look at the cost per student, but as long as you're comparing apples to apples, then you'll be able to present a chart like this. I wanted to show the adopted 24-25 budget versus the proposed budget. And here we can see that it is split up between general support, instruction, transportation, employee benefits, debt service, and interfund transfer. This is one way of looking at the pieces that are in the budget. And here it is again, except these are in number forms. This is another method of showing you what's in the budget. We're required by law to show you the 3-part budget. And as you can see, we're spending most of our money in the program, the instruction, which is where you want it to be. This is a pie chart showing you similar items. This is another way of showing people who like to see the budget in a pie chart form instead of by numbers. This is another way that I like to show the budget composition. The reason is because it's interesting to see when you isolate the salaries and benefits, it represents 70.92% of the budget. And on the bottom, you'll see all the departments and all the people within the departments, and the principals helped very much this year to try to keep the prices low so that our budget could come in as low as possible, but still maintain the programs that we need. I like this chart because it shows you the delta. It shows you just the difference between the budget from one year to the other. So last year to this year, it's 2,774, but the salary and benefits alone was an increase of 2,607. Meanwhile, the school tax increase, the delta of that was only 1,237,000. These are fast facts to know. The proposed budget is 63,331,000. Our budget to budget increase is 4.58, and the proposed tax levy is 2.99. We have 3 propositions to vote on this year. The first one is the budget. The next one is the bond proposition, which I think we're going to be voting on this evening. And then there will be a third one, which shows the library vote that we're all going to vote on. These are the important dates. And before we get to other questions, I just wanted to highlight some ways that the district has been working on behind the scenes to get the numbers to as close as possible to as little amount of money that we need for the budget. In the curriculum department, they build teacher leadership capacity in-house. Whether it's possible, it's in a critical area of the curriculum to provide support as opposed to bringing in consultants or sending teachers out for extra workshops. As a result, the district has a teacher leaders support professional learning team and is very important for foundation programs. In the business office, the district established membership in the educational data services to simplify the buying process from the teacher's request to the purchase order. There's over 700 members in this turnkey cooperative procurement management program. Streamlining results in a reduction in the workload, a reduction in the cost, a maintenance compliance oversight, and it provides peace of mind because we're following the board policies. BOCES services. We leverage BOCES services to access the BOCES aid whenever it's possible. For example, when the special education services need things like tutoring, they have been satisfying this by sending out a request for proposal. When that request for proposal is expired, we will intend to look at BOCES to see if they offer any of these services, which would give us an alternative, and we would not have to do an RFP, but mainly because we would get BOCES aid back on that. Timepiece is a record attendance. The clock controller interfaces with the district's accounting human resource program, thereby eliminating the need for paper submissions and electronically capturing signatures, and approvals are captured this way. This workflow solution saves time in managing the data collection of hours worked, especially in determining the overtime payments. We have labor contracts. All the labor contracts will require a contribution to health insurance in retirement. In the athletic department, the district monitors the participation levels to ensure that all the supported teams meet the requisite interests of the students to qualify for the funding, which would include transportation and coaching stipends. Information technology. The district performs periodic auditing of all the software that they use to ensure that our licensing numbers reflect the real-life usage. The district performs its own installations 100% in-house. Two recent examples that saved thousands of dollars was the Timepiece physical installation and the physical security access control system. Similarly, the facilities department have leveraged the staff's set skills savings by using the talents of the in-house staff. Some examples of what they have done is the carbon filtration system, which saved $300,000, the elementary school modular building, which saved $200,000, the irrigation elementary school upper field, which saved $80,000, the HVAC maintenance work, which saved $150,000, the alarm system work was saved $50,000, AV wiring work was saved us $20,000. The wellness trail saved us $200,000. Elementary school bathroom upgrades was a $500,000 savings. The new grounds building was a $200,000 saving. The middle school student support suite is a $200,000 saving. And the elementary school paint job was a $50,000 savings. The last thing I just wanted to share is that I had the opportunity to see the IB presentation. And first I thought I was talking to college students, not only because they're taller than me, but just also their presentation and the way they exchange in conversation with me was really impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
thank you
Chen.
for those specific examples of savings, because those really help to identify, you know, and that's just an overview of ways that we can save the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I said it at the last meeting, and I'll say it again. Your presentation is to the point, concise, and right on the money. It is one of the best budget presentations I've ever seen, and I thank you for that, Dr. Chen.
Thank you. If anyone wants more information, they're welcome to come and call on me or come to the office. We'll be happy to explain more of it.
So I do want to point out there's a slightly updated version of the presentation that I think that includes the proposition language in it. So we'll make sure that that one is posted online and made available to the community. So that was really just sort of finished today. So that version, we'll make sure that language is included on the version of this presentation that's online, so individuals can see exactly what that wording will be for those two additional propositions.
Any other questions or comments for Grace?
I'd like to just make a suggestion. I thought it was absolutely brilliant to highlight the way in which the district has really been intentional about saving money and being super responsible with taxpayer funding. Would it be possible, or just a pitch to throw it out there, I do think that the community really should have access to that information in even more than just tonight's reading of that list. It's very powerful. If we could perhaps think about an infographic to share with our community on our website, on social media, so that we can share with them all of the money, because I couldn't write it down fast enough, but if I totaled all of that money, it would probably come up to a significant amount of savings. And so I wanted to just ask if that's possible.
Yes, that's possible, and I want to give a shout out to someone named Tina who actually emailed me and asked me, can I present some things like that? So it's because she asked for it, and we do listen to the public.
Tina McKay.
Very nice.
asked her to highlight some of the ways in which the district was saving money. So Grace has been working on collecting that information throughout the week, and we could certainly put it into some sort of electronic format, similar to what we did for the sustainability,
Right.
where we created those infographics showing the
Yes.
savings. We could
Yes,
work on something similar with
to that,
those.
yes. And then I understand that we have, that some of the potential Garrison students had decided that they are no longer going to attend next year. I know that you had mentioned a number for 1 year of tuition. If someone could kindly highlight just what that looks like over 4 years. And I just want to say this too, to the community. It's such a pleasure to have the Garrison students come here because of who they are, number one. I know that it just embetters our community to have more students from other districts come and enjoy the amazing resources that we have here at a zero cost to us. We have it, we can share it, and it actually really does help us financially. And so I wanted to just ask about that total over 4-year cost, what that would look like.
So it's going to be, it's a little over $70,000 the first year. We have in our contract a 2% increase for each year, so 71 for the following year, and it'll continue. So it'll be upwards of $300,000 lost
Yes,
by the
so-
time those students would have graduated.
That it's really important, that the community also know that. $300,000 is a significant amount of money that could be used to lower, right, what we're asking taxpayers to help us with. So just something to be considered by the community. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to say, one of the things that I thought about when Grace was reading the savings and all that was done in-house is not only is it saving money, but it gives you that sense of pride in what you're doing and where you are when you've done it for yourself rather than done it as a job. I mean, it is a job, but there's a different level of pride and sense of ownership, which I think is invaluable, can't be calculated in terms of money. So, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Grace.
Okay, then we will move on to new business.
Okay. Resolved on recommendation of the superintendent of schools to appoint Melody LaRocca to the position of confidential secretary to the superintendent of schools and district clerk, effective July 1st, 2025, and authorize the superintendent of schools to enter into a salary letter of agreement referenced in the official minutes of the meeting as document 164/25.
Second.
Questions or comments?
So I do want to recognize that Ms. LaRocca is with us this evening. She is joined with her husband and her son who came here to support her. So Melody stood out throughout the interview process, from the screening to the committee interview, and it was really evident that she was the right person for this position. And I know she got unanimous support from the members of the committee, and I am thrilled that she's here this evening. And well, I'll be sad to see her leave. I know that Melody will do a terrific job in filling Maureen's shoes and continuing to keep the board members and myself out of trouble. That's her number one job. So, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes.
You're going to love it here.
Welcome to the family.
I see that she's effective July 1st. Is she going to be able to come in earlier, or?
Yeah. So she's going to start tomorrow.
Well, no, for her sake.
Yes. Now we already have plans in place. Melody and Maureen know each other for serving in the same role, and they're going to work out a schedule that's mutually beneficial to provide opportunities for overlap and cross-training. I know the last time she was in the district, her and Maureen met for almost an hour, and she got to meet lots of individuals in the district office, and certainly she was here early this evening to meet with Maureen and go through the setup for the board meetings, and those opportunities will continue to present themselves throughout
Okay.
the spring. So I know there'll be many opportunities for cross-training and making sure that we're able to hit the ground running on July 1st. And Melody's son told me that he's going to treat his mother to dinner this evening for congratulations with his dad's credit card. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
I wanted to say that I checked out your webpage for the Mayapack School District. I was really curious. It's a clerk webpage that has so much information on voting and the board, and it's really a wonderful webpage, and I'm really looking forward to you potentially bringing that here. I think it would make that information really accessible, and I'm just really impressed with it. Thank you. So welcome.
Okay, number 2.
Resolved on the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools to appoint Mary Ellen Jack to a 4-year probationary term as a special education teacher in the tenure area of special education at the middle school effective September 1st, 2024, and terminating on August 31st, 2028. Ms. Jack holds students with disabilities 1 through 6 and childhood ed 1 through 6 initial certifications.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 3, please.
Resolved on the recommendation of schools and the Board of Education hereby approves a supplemental memorandum of agreement between the district and the CSEA regarding a sign-in and sign-out system for various subgroups of employees for accurate timekeeping purposes as per doc number 156/25 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. Number 4, please.
Resolved to approve the notice of public budget hearing, budget vote, other propositions, and trustee election for May 20th, 2025. Vote for the Putnam Valley Central School District as per document number 162-25 attached to the agenda and official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The resolution passes. So those were the 4 new business action items. I'd like to open it up for public comment on any topic. We'd like to hear from you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Ferraro, and just a quick history lesson here. 1929, in a kitchen, the library, the Putnam Valley Library, was chartered in 1937, moved to its present home in 1968. A tissue paper mill turned toothpick factory, the Putnam Valley Lodge, and then to its current incarnation. Currently, as of 2024, Putnam Valley Library has had a total attendance of over 48,000 people, and we have over 5,800 regular borrowers, from adults, children, general interest, etc. The library serves through all kinds of different programs, and as of the last vote in 2023, since the work that we've done since then, we replaced the skylight, repaired a large portion of the roof, replaced the HVAC system, replaced an outdated 13-year-old computer system, upgraded Wi-Fi extends range to the parking lot so that people can use our parking lot as a place to be especially when there's power outages. We increased our hours, staying open later, hired official full-time youth services member, added up-to-date audiovisual technology, including 3D printer. We remodeled the community room restrooms, brought one up to ADA standards. We've had our first professional audit and passed it with flying colors. We purchased new chairs, dishwasher, completed urgent repairs, and so much more. We do all this for a total cost of $570,000. And the lion's share of that comes from our taxpayers, currently $460,000. And of that, $385,000 just is for staff and salaries. So we are a lean machine and we don't spend frivolously. Our current funds per capita costs about $39 per person that lives in our town, as opposed to Cold Spring and Mayapack, where it's over $100 per person. So we do really save our money. So we're going to be on the ballot with our 259 vote, and our plan, our increase of $23,000 to our budget through the tax levy, on average, would be about $5 per household per year. Well, for the year, I should say, because it does not necessarily go up every year. What we will be doing with that is repairing faulty plumbing, addressing asbestos that we found, lovely. Also bring the library further up to date with American Disabilities Act, expanding our library with things, developing our outdoor areas, expanding our digital navigator program, and then we're exploring becoming that cultural hub, that community hub that doesn't exist in our town, transforming one of our rooms to a fantastic room that kind of cafe style, our fireplace room that is kind of just a hodgepodge right now, but will become that hub, that community place where everybody's like, we need a coffee shop, we need a coffee shop, we need a coffee shop in town. We're going to be that place. But none of this can happen without support, and the challenges are real because of current administration. Cuts are on their way as far as funding to libraries, funding to museums. I was very disappointed, I shouldn't say disappointed, but when you're talking about all these great researchers and scientific research and how much research is being cut by our current administration. Now, there is a pendulum swing. I'm confident that it'll come back by the time our students will actually be in places doing research that requires money from the NIH. But the only place that school districts and libraries can count on at this point is the local tax base. Regrettably, that's how we're built. So our plan is to continue on our mission to deliver services, programs, and community to our neighbors. And for the low price of an additional $23,000 over the course of the year, which again translates to approximately $5 per household for the year. I think that we are looking forward to new things that are going to really bring our library to well, where it should have been, but has been grossly underfunded for decades. Yeah. And we're finally trying to catch up, and we will get there with taxpayer support and with community support. So that's my pitch, and I'll be happy to do a regular pitch with a lovely presentation if you'll have us, but we are planning on our own communication, we are planning on our own information sessions, and we are available to take the show on the road. It'll be part of our board meetings, it will also have those standalones, and hopefully people will come and learn. But you can always go to putnamvalleylibrary.org, and you can email me at joseph.ferraro@putnamvalley.org for more information. That's it.
Thank you,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thank you,
Joe,
Joe.
I have a quick question. Are you presenting also at the town board meeting?
We will be, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay. Upcoming meeting topics and presentations. You mentioned that the April 10th meeting, we're going to have science fair students
Correct.
starting about 6:15.
Yep, so our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 10th. Our elementary school science fair students will be setting up their displays around 6 o'clock, and as soon as they're set up and ready to go, it'll be open to the public and the board to go through, and it's really an impressive experience to see these students who have now refined some of their presentation skills as they prepare to enter a regional science fair competition, having been sort of nominated from our entire science fair at the elementary school. So that's our next meeting for Thursday, April 10th. Following that, we have meetings on Tuesdays. So Tuesday, April 22nd is a special business meeting, and Tuesday, May 6th is our final budget hearing business meeting. So just to note that those two Tuesday meetings are coming up before we return to our typical Thursday meetings.
Okay. Board member comments.
Yeah, very quickly, I'm very pleased that Melanie will be joining, the staff. But most certainly, Maureen, and I said this when I read the resolution originally, you're going to be sorely missed. For myself personally, you were an anchor when I was moved from the middle school to here, and you were the confidential secretary to the principal at the time. And it was your guidance that helped me get a focus and a real feel for what the high school was all about. And I'll never forget that. It touched me then, and it touches me now, and you're going to be missed, really.
I second that. So just a couple of things, exciting things that are upcoming that I just wanted to make sure we shared with the community. So our high school play is coming up, as was shared, Legally Blonde, and we are going to do a first-year tradition of dinner and a show. And it's going to be a potluck dinner, and we're hoping that we can have just a night of community. And so we are looking forward to having elementary students and their families, middle school students and their families, high school students and their families, and anybody else who would like to join and cook or purchase something to bring. We just want to have a night of community. So that's going to be happening at 5 p.m. on April 26th. We're going to do it on the Saturday show, and it'll be right here in this room. So look for further information. A flyer will be coming out soon about that.
Crystal, can I just jump on that?
Yeah,
real quick?
go ahead.
I want to extend that we also extended an invite to our all Garrison families of
Oh,
students who come here,
wonderful.
as well as our incoming Garrison students.
That's great.
And we actually spoke with both the directors of the middle school play and the high school play,
Awesome.
and we're actually comping tickets for the incoming eighth graders, current seventh graders in Garrison can get a free ticket if they would like to attend any of the performances of either the middle school or the high school play. We want to make sure that we're bridging that gap and
Yeah.
making those students part of our family even before they start here. Sorry, I messed up the years. They're current eighth graders, incoming ninth graders. So we want to make sure that they're feeling as if they're part of our family prior to beginning ninth grade here in the fall. So we also extend our invite for the potluck as well as the plays.
That's amazing. That'll be a really nice welcoming event for those families. So super exciting. Also, just a little plug for the senior dress rehearsal. Seniors are invited to be able to come and see the show. I believe just for a regular dress rehearsal, right? No cost to seniors. And so if students have grandmas or grandpas or uncles or aunts or anybody in the community that would like to come and see the show, that's a really great way to do so in a cost-effective way, but to also support our students, as that will be their last dress rehearsal before opening night. So super excited. I was a theater buff, so I love the theater. We got to talk about it. We also have the middle school show coming up. Really exciting things happening there. Their shows are always fantastic, just like the high school shows, to come out for that. But tomorrow is the Middle School Student of the Month breakfast. And so I just wanted to share, Sasha and I are both passionate about this event. We secretly plot just making sure that we're there every single month so that we can celebrate the kids, whether or not our children are even nominated. We just love to be there. It's a really great way of celebrating kids who are going through a very challenging time in life. So I want to thank the middle school for continuing that tradition, the PTA for supporting it. It's really awesome. So we look forward to that tomorrow. The elementary school, backed by popular demand, is going to have a student vote on May 20th. I don't have the details yet on what they will be voting for, but by the next board meeting, I will. Super excited about that.
They
because,
voted on cupcakes or something last year,
so
right?
they voted on whether or not they would have ice pops or the bubble bus
That's
on
right.
field day.
That's right.
Surprisingly, the
bubble bus.
ice pops won. And so that was like the big spoiler alert. You know, we didn't know that that was going to happen. But the PTA was so incredibly generous and provided both ice pops and the bubble bus for all of the students at Putnam Valley for their elementary school for their field day. So this year it will be a different type of vote, but a vote nonetheless. So please bring your children out to cast their ballot, and we'll give you information about that. I wanted to ask about an advocacy committee. I'm not sure that we have one, or how advocacy happens for Putnam Valley, but when I saw that Putnam Valley is not getting their lion's share of the federal and state funding that we should be, you know, I would love to help with that. So if there's something that can be put together, or if there's something that we can do as a board, or I can do as a board member, or community members might be able to help with, people who are familiar with advocacy work, I just wanted to know if there's anything about that.
Sure. I know Barbara does a lot of work with the Lower Hudson Educational Coalition, LHEC, right? And that's who we partner with to do advocacy at the state level, schools across this region. So they're sort of our main conduit to legislators and assembly people. We do have opportunities. I know Margaret and I regularly meet with both local and national assembly people representing our area, and always have an opportunity to share what those sort of wish list items are for us. But that's sort of, we have one thing and Carmel has something different, and Mayapack has something different. But LHEC is really the main conduit for our local advocacy at the state level. So I know that Barbara would welcome more, any participation on that group. And they meet regularly, and they have actual advocates, right? They have lobbyists that go up and present what these needs are. So,
And West Putt does that too.
And West Putt, great, wonderful.
Oh, that's right, that's right, yeah.
That's great. I just want to also tell the community that if you have questions about the budget, or if you would like to have access to any of the budget presentations that have been done, or if you need information on absentee ballots, you can go to our website. It is 2 clicks to get to the information that you need. It's right there on the front page. So please visit the website for that. And then just lastly, will there be any other opportunities for community members to come out to hear or ask questions about the budget besides the board meetings?
yeah, we have additional Q&A sessions already scheduled. I don't know the dates off the top of my head. Wednesday, April 23rd at the elementary school.
What
We
time?
try to do the road show.
It's a 6 o'clock PTA meeting, but budget Q&A.
The PTA, with the PTA, good.
In
good,
conjunction with the
excellent.
PTA. So April 23rd, 6 p.m. at the elementary school, in conjunction with the PTA, will be another opportunity for people to come and ask questions.
And there was one at the middle school too, right? We didn't schedule that one yet? Okay.
No.
No, not.
More to come.
More to come. Okay. Wonderful. That's it. Thanks.
I have one thing. A bunch of the middle schoolers also had their all counties today for band and chorus. So congratulations to them. I
Yay.
was unable to go, but it sounds like it was amazing.
Outstanding.
I'm sure that'll be an update next meeting, because I don't know what the
Yeah.
results are yet.
Did we have to do anything about the firefighters exemption?
Well, we had done some research, and I know I shared that information with the members of the school board. We will need to ultimately pass a resolution. I don't have the wording for that resolution, but if that's the board's will, we can get that together for the next meeting if
Does it have
there's,
to be before the budget?
We have to have a public meeting.
so we'd have to schedule a public hearing,
Yeah.
right, at the beginning of the next meeting?
My suggestion would be, we're very, you guys have a lot on your plate with the vote, and this doesn't have to be done until December, so if we put it off till after the vote, it will give you more time to breathe and more time for us to roll it out effectively and have discussions. That would be my suggestion, but
I think that's a great idea.
What's the due date
think
on
that's a
that?
very-
December.
Right, December?
They have until December.
We could even do it, you know, over the summer or,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Requires 30 days notice.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good idea,
there's a
Jeanette.
lot on
idea.
their
Yeah.
plates right now.
Totally agree.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to let it pass without.
no.
Not at all.
No, it's important.
I'll make sure I stay in communication with both, we did hear from the volunteer fire department as well as the volunteer ambulance corps, so I'll make sure to touch base with both of them and say, well, we may not be acting on it right now, it's not, no additional information is needed at this time, and if there's anything that comes up, I'll let them know.
Okay.
Just to go off your note about advocacy, I just want to thank Barbara, because for many years, Barbara and Sam will also admit to this, has held the torch for advocacy behind the scenes, so.
It's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work that she does on that, so thank you,
Well,
Barbara,
and
for
I'm
that.
off West Putt because you can only serve 2 terms, so I'm off
You're
that.
passing that torch.
But I'm still on LHEC, so.
I also had the opportunity to attend the National Junior Honor Society. I want to say, were there 34 or 39 students that were honored?
34.
34. So
34.
congratulations to those 34 students. I'm very proud. Great evening. Aiden did a great job again. And I'm going to pronounce her, Eliza? Elisa, okay. Elisa also did a great job. She spoke a lot about the service that she does at the high school. And then I had the opportunity yesterday to listen to her CAS and TOK presentation here, and where she went over in detail a lot of her the activities that she did. And it was great to see her, just the tie-in between teaching middle school activities that happen over here, and as well as and she does the IB, science research, and sports. And I just want to do a call out to, that's a lot on a student's plate, and there's a few students that do all of those activities, and not even just sports, some jazz band, like different activities. And we know what effort gets put into these programs, and I just want to say thank you for all the students, all they did, and the presentations yesterday were outstanding.
Now, are any of those presentations going to be available for people to see if you weren't there?
No, because the symposium style, everyone presented it at their poster, so there was no recording.
Right.
Because different kids were at different places in their presentation at once. But I think what I'm encouraging is to create an opportunity in the evening so parents of those students could also participate and enjoy that.
Yeah,
Did-
but I have a feeling parents would come, but I'd
Did
like
you
the
have
rest of the
parents
community to see.
come during the day? They did not.
Not that I saw.
It would be so great, and the only reason why I say that is because the district recently posted some pictures of the students who participated in the science research program, and there really was a great amount of positive comments from community members, from parents, but also community members that do not have children in the schools, about how this program is one of the crown jewels of our district. And I do think there would be quite a lot of support if we were to host tonight, or just for the community to come out and be able to see some of those posters. It's an incredible amount of work, and it really is not typical of high school students to be able to engage
The science
in,
research
yes.
they're able to view.
So
It's the
it's
CAS.
it's the CAS projects that they
Right,
weren't
CAS
able
and
to do.
TOC
But
that
even
they
that,
weren't able.
and
Yeah.
the CAS projects are just so incredible because they're service oriented.
Yep.
And I think that's so important. It's such a piece of schooling that's really not in place in many places anymore. I just feel like it's not a thing anymore. And so even if they could come to see the CAS projects, because many of the students who engage in science research also do CAS, and then they do all of these other things that Jeanette was speaking about. And so they're really very well-rounded. To give community access to as many of these amazing projects as possible, I think is really important. So just a thought.
Well, and for the theory of knowledge, which is not so much a presentation of a project, but it's thinking about your thinking.
Right. Metacognition.
And bringing artifacts that support your opinion of
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it's
pretty cool.
It's really is interesting, and
High level.
it shows the level of thought that students
Maddie
are
Longden
doing.
had a picture of, I want to say her great-grandmother with Anne Frank,
Yeah.
Wow.
before Anne Frank went in hiding. It was just,
Think about that.
Wow.
yeah, it was amazing.
Intense.
And how she tied that into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I just,
Yeah,
again, I
basically.
think about the suggestion that one of the parents made at the Q&A earlier about celebrating and recognizing the great work that we do every day. When we had the Miss McCarty's class here, I mean, seeing children learning and responding to learning was amazing. And I go back to they're our business. And the more we see of them, the better. So, anyway,
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
I know we mentioned the middle school play, but it's School of Rock. I don't know if we mentioned the name of the,
Thank you.
of the play. So,
yeah.
just letting you know, that's happening next weekend. So, and they're having 4 shows, I believe. 5 shows.
2
Wow.
matinees and 3
Wow,
evening.
that's
Yeah.
fun. So, congratulations.
It's a
to those.
powerhouse.
Yeah, that's a lot. And just to tie in, you had mentioned, Mr. McCarty, I want to say it was Mrs. Odell's class a few years ago, wrote us letters regarding how important it is to have a playground for all children. And I'm glad to see that we're able, if the bond passes, that we're able to have a playground that will work for all our
All
students.
kids.
Yes.
I agree.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Jeanette, because I do believe there might be a little bit of confusion in the community about the past projects that we've done for outdoor spaces and the one that we are now proposing. Dr. Luff, would you be able to clarify what the past project was and the fact that the new project is a completely separate thing in a separate area of the school and what it entails?
Sure. As part of the last capital project that the voters approved in 2018, and the construction really took place in 2020 and 21, we took the existing courtyard in the elementary school, so sort of between the second grade classes and the kindergarten classes. It's an enclosed space there. It was very much underutilized. And part of the vision of the new science lab was to connect it to an outdoor learning space. So we were able to make that happen, as well as leveling off that space. It had a huge dip in it. It was actually dangerous for students, especially ones with mobility issues. So we were able to level off that space, put in a nice sidewalk, and have sort of a fully functioning classroom out there. It's a beautiful space. I know we've shared videos or pictures of it during board meetings, and we're happy to share again. So that space is often utilized and a very conducive outdoor learning space for students. The new space, which maybe has we should have titled it differently, is really a space for students to utilize while outside, primarily during recess. We have students that play kickball, we have students that play football, we have students that run around on the playground, but we also have students who read, or students who write, or students who color, and those kids are sometimes sitting in the dirt, sitting on the hard sidewalk, looking for a space, and really the vision was just to create them a very simple space outside. Maybe a shade, put some tables, have a nice flat surface for them to sit at. It's not a, $1 million expenditure. It's not even a $100,000 expenditure. It's just a little, tiny little piece of that playground project that creates a new outdoor learning space for students. Again, primarily during recess, teachers can certainly bring their classes out there when it's not otherwise utilized. But it's really just creating a separate space for students who want to do something different during recess in their elementary school.
I just want to jump in here about the 2018 project and 2020-21 project where the courtyard at the elementary school. You spoke about a big dip in there, and as somebody who works with students of all abilities and have running extended school year programs during the summer when you like to use outdoor space, it was dangerous and it was terrible. And now we have our children outside for lunch all the time. We're able to have them learning and touching and feeling and doing things outside. It was one of the best projects, and that really wasn't a costly project, but it was one of the most useful projects. And then, creating these outdoor spaces for students that we know learn differently and have different types of physical needs. I just have to say that meeting those needs for all different learners is so important and really at the heart of what I believe Putnam Valley is. So I really hope that people understand what this project is and is not. So thank you for sharing.
It includes ADA-specific playground apparatus for those children who may be physically challenged.
Yes.
That's really important.
Access.
Really
And
important.
access to it. Right now, there's no way to access
Yeah.
it without going across grass.
It
Good.
will allow true access for all different types
As
of
it should be.
students.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a conversation of equity in a way. But I just think to myself, thank goodness my children are well and they're whole. But for a student in a wheelchair, or a student who breaks a leg, or is in a cast for whatever reason, and they can't use the playground, and they can't play kickball, and they can't play football, and they can't run, they can't play tag, what do they do during that time?
Yeah.
And do we have a space to accommodate that? And if the answer is not yet, then the hope would be that the answer could become soon. So,
No child should ever be on the sidelines watching their
Other
peers
kids
play,
play.
and they can't. That just makes me nuts, yeah. Yeah.
so good stuff. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.